What's going on, everybody? This is Joe with Ultradyne USA. This time of year we have deer season quickly approaching, so it is time to get those rifles sighted in and ready for opening morning. As we are trying to determine which rifle to use for this deer season, we are having a hard time. Between all of the factory bolt-action rifles out there, what determines which one will give us better results from the rest? The most effective way we came up with to help us make that decision was to let the rifles decide for us. So in this video, I test a wide range of factory bolt-action rifles and put them head-to-head to see which one gives us the most accurate rifle to use this hunting season. When it comes to accuracy in a rifle, more times than not, a custom build will outshoot a factory rifle. So in this test, I wanted to keep it even across the board and only shoot factory rifles with factory ammunition. I had 7 different rifles available that are all highly respected in the bolt-action industry. They vary in barrel length as well as calibers, but are all well-known hunting rounds for medium-sized game such as the whitetail that we will be hunting. These rifles include a Savage 110 and 308, a Bergara B14 and 270, a Howa 1500 and 6.5 Creedmoor, a Ruger American and 308, a Tikka T3X and 6.5 Creedmoor, an Aero Precision Solace and 308, and finally a Remmington 700 and 30-06. Once I knew what rifles were going to be in the test, I needed to decide what the test was going to consist of. The most tried and true measure of accuracy for centerfire rifles is a 3-shot group at 100 yards. So I knew I wanted to utilize that metric, but I wanted to add some other factors in as well. A 3-shot group is great, but if you just happen to have one flyer in that group, it can greatly skew your results. So I wanted to shoot 3-shot groups, and I wanted to take the average between them. Between each 3-shot group, I would let the rifle completely cool to simulate a real-life hunting situation, where it is almost always a cold bore shot. For our specific hunting situation, some longer shots of out to 300 yards could present themselves. So once I narrowed down the top 2 rifles at 100 yards, I also wanted to stretch them out to 300 and ensure that they are able to group well at that distance. Now obviously I understand how much actually goes into the accuracy of a rifle. The barrels, the optics, some guns like heavy rounds, some guns like lighter rounds, etc., etc. And we could chase our tail all day to try and find that perfect combination for every single rifle. And if you have one rifle at home that you know you're going to use, I do highly encourage you to try different things and find that perfect combination. But for this test, I just simply used what I had on hand in terms of optics and factory ammunition. I used Hornady Precision Hunter across the board to remain consistent, and every single rifle was installed into a chassis to keep that variable constant as well. All shots were taken off the same rest by the same shooter using a launch pad and a rear bag to ensure the most consistent hold possible. Any barrel that was threaded, I installed a muzzle brake and a suppressor to cut down on the noise and recoil, and you'll see later in the video where that comes into play. Once I had all of my equipment figured out and knew all of the rifles I would be using, it was time to hit the range. We're out here on the range today to find out which factory bolt-action rifle will give us the most accurate setup for hunting season. So we got 7 rifles. We're going to start off by getting them all bore-sighted and then take our target back to 100 yards and get a true zero and start shooting. Alright, so now I have all of my rifles confidently zeroed at 100 yards. I'm going to go through and shoot all 7 of them. I'm going to shoot 3-shot groups. And in between each group, I'm going to let the barrel completely cool so that we're simulating a hunting scenario. Alright, first up we got the Tikka T3X and 6.5 Creedmoor. I'm going to shoot 3-shot groups and give a rest in between to let the barrel cool. Next up, we got the Bergara B14 and 270 Win. Now we have the Howa 1500 and 6.5 Creedmoor. Next up, we got the Remmington 700 and 30-06. Next we have the Savage 110 and 308. For our final rifle, we have our Aero Precision Solace and 308. Now that we completed our testing at 100 yards, you can see the results on the screen. As you can see on the chart, after our 100-yard test, most of the rifles were pretty similar, which is what you would expect, being that they are all factory rifles. There were two that really stood out above the rest, and that was the Tikka T3X and 6.5 Creedmoor, and the Savage 110 Trail Hunter Light and 308. The Savage was the biggest surprise out of the group for us, because Savage often gets a bad rep for being a budget rifle that isn't very consistent. But in this instance, it was at the top of the leaderboard. Now again, this could be an instance where the ammo we chose to shoot through this rifle just happened to be the ideal round, and the other rifles could get there once they got tested more. Once I knew my top two rifles, it was time to take them out to distance and see how they grouped at 300 yards. Alright, shot one with the Savage 308 at 300 yards. So now we have our second rifle, which is our Tikka T3X and 6.5 Creedmoor. My ballistics tell me that I'm going to be dialing 1.1 mil at 300 yards. So we're going to shoot at our 6-inch target and see what we get. After all of my testing was complete, I would be able to confidently take either one of these two rifles hunting with me this season and not hesitate when it comes to taking an ethical shot out to 300 yards. Both rifles consistently shot under an inch at 100 yards and were well within a 6-inch diameter at 300 yards. One major thing to keep in mind is that if 10 different shooters were to do this same test, they might get 10 different results. So it's very important for you to find the best rifle for your specific shooting style and preferences. Now the obvious loser in this challenge was the Remmington 700 and 30-06. This rifle is quite older than the rest of the rifles, and I'm not sure how many rounds have actually been fired through the barrel. So if I were to do this again, I'd be curious to get a more up-to-date Remmington 700 and see if we were able to get different results. I realize that over a 2-inch average group tells me something is off, so I need to get more time behind that rifle to figure out what that might be. The rest of the rifles in the test definitely have the capabilities to become sub-MOA rifles. Again, I would just need to try out different ammunition until I find the best match. And this goes to prove my point that to a certain extent, most modern factory rifles have the capability to be very accurate. It just comes down to finding the best match for you. Some of the major components in this test worth mentioning is a suppressor. If you have never used a suppressor, especially when hunting, I highly suggest you try one out, because you will most likely never go back to shooting without one. The chassis also made a huge difference, being able to customize my cheek weld and length of pull and utilize the integrated ARCA rail to have a stable rest. These all allowed me to be as consistent as possible. Let me know in the comments, how could I make this test better in the future? Were you surprised by these results like we were? Or have you also had good luck with the same rifles at the top of the list? Lastly, if you like this video, please be sure to let us know so we can continue making content like this in the future. If you want to check out the products we used in this video and see our full lineup of products, check us out at Ultradyne USA. For now, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.